together. Let's see how many people are on. I hope you're all staying safe and well. Thank you, District Manager George, for putting this together. So far, we have 38 people on the line.
Our speaker is here, Mr. Williams. So you can call the meeting to order and we can get started with him and do the roll call after if you like. We'll give everybody 5 minutes. I don't know how you want to proceed.
Okay, Mr. Williams is the Accessible Dispatch Program representative.
Yes.
This is good. We can do that. Thank you all for coming again. And again, my name is Ethel Tyus. I'm the chair of CBA. And right now we're going to get a presentation from Mr. Stephen Williams of the Accessible Dispatch Program, which connects the community to wheelchair accessible taxis. This is great. Mr. Williams, do you want to proceed? Is he with us?
He's there.
Oh, hello, folks. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi. How you doing, folks? Thank you so much. Thank you, Ethel. My name is Stephen Williams. I represent Accessible Dispatch. This is a program that connects the community to wheelchair accessible taxis all throughout the 5 boroughs of New York City. But you don't have to use a wheelchair. Anyone can use it, but these cars are specially designed for a person if they do want to get a taxi cab. They're larger than the regular taxi cabs, but the good news is that you pay the same fare as a regular taxi cab, but you get additional benefits. You get a larger car, and you get someone who's trained to assist people in and out of the vehicle. You can also bring guests with you. And the good thing about these cars is that it's not a shared ride. You won't be sharing these cars with anybody except for your guest if you bring guests along. And the great thing about the program is that you can get service on demand, or you can book advanced reservations. You can book a trip via our website. Also, you can go through our mobile app, or you can call our 24-hour customer service line. If you don't feel comfortable with technology and using apps and all that jazz, you can do old school and just call our 24-hour number. And it's a really great program. And I know a lot of seniors and people disabled have been really isolated during the pandemic. But this is a good way for us to get out as people are getting vaccinated and continue on with their lives. So that's pretty much it. I will definitely send you guys tomorrow. I'll email to the board an electronic flyer that can be shared amongst all the board members and attendees.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Will we be able to link to your website so that people can, if people come to the CB8 website, they can also tie into your website?
Yes, people can automatically access our website. So I can definitely send you all the information tomorrow via email, and I'll give you the access to the website so you can find more information about the program. Definitely.
Are the rates the same as regular taxis?
Good question, Ethel. Yes, same exact fare. The only thing is that you get more. You get a driver who's trained to assist people in and out of the vehicle, and you get a larger vehicle than a regular taxi cab.
Does anyone else have questions for Mr. Williams? In the chat, maybe?
I've got a question.
Sure.
What are there any benefits that are different than Accessoride? I mean, outside of the fact that the person will have the vehicles exclusively.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. One of the major benefits about this program is that you don't have to qualify for it. Anyone can use it. So Accessoride, you do have to qualify for it. And like you said, and I love what you said, you don't have to share the ride with strangers. You can basically, use this vehicle at your own discretion. You can bring guests. And another good thing about our cars is that, they're sanitized. Those drivers wear masks and the cars are cleaned. We put a partition. We ask the person to sit in the back so we can have social distancing. And we put a little partition. If there's not a partition, we put a plastic shield between the driver and the passenger. And another good benefit about the program is that it's on demand. So you can get a car anytime you want, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As long as you're in the 5 boroughs, you can get access to the cab.
May I ask another question?
Sure, sure.
You said that they can bring someone with them. What would be the maximum number of people that would be allowed to come with the person who's wheelchair bound?
That's an excellent question. Our cars, the biggest car we have, can hold four members, four people, four passengers who aren't in a wheelchair, and one person who's using a wheelchair. So that person can bring like four people with them.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, thank you again. We look forward to receiving your information, Mr. Williams. At this point, we're going to look for a roll call and then acceptance of the minutes. I'm so glad to see so many people are still healthy enough to come to these meetings. All right, Ms. George, are we going to do a roll call now?
Is Mr. Weatherwax ready? I'm not sure if he's ready.
I'm here,
Okay.
as long as you can see me and hear me. It took me a while to get up and ready, but here I am. All right. Good evening. As usual, I'll read your name, and if you are here and I hear you, I will say thank you, and I will move on to the next one. So we're moving alphabetically past Mr. Tierney Allison.
Present.
Thank you. Linda Andrews.
Present.
Thank you. Desmond Atkins.
Present.
Thank you. Lisa
You're welcome.
Atkinson.
Present.
Thank you. Wayne Bailey. Princess Ben James. Julia Boyd. Gail Branch Muhammad.
Here.
Thank you. John Buckholtz. Robert Callahan.
Here.
Thank you. Hanji Charles. Nora Daniel.
Here.
Thank you. James Ellis.
Here.
Thank you. Kevin Farley.
Here.
Thank you. Andrea Ferris. Fred Frazier. Drew Gabriel.
Here.
Thank you. Tamika Gibbs.
Here.
Thank you. Najani Granville.
Here.
Thank you. Eugenie Harris Blenman.
Present.
Thank you. Marva Henry. Zurzima Jordan.
Here.
Thank you. Regina Kinsey. Sarah Lazar.
Here.
Thank you. Mireille Lemaine. Elaine Mahoney. Calvis Mickelsteins.
Present.
Thank you. Robert Puka. Yaya Raji.
Here.
Thank you. Adam Sachs.
Present.
Thank you. Brian Saunders. Meredith Staten. Harmisha Superville. Mark Thurton.
Here.
Thank you. Greg Todd. Ethel Tyus.
I think she's having problems.
Well, she's here. Gib Vaconi.
Tyus is present.
Thank you. Gib Vaconi.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yves Villas. Kimberly Watson. Thank you. Irsa Weatherspoon.
Present. Also,
Thank-
John Buckhouse is here, and also Princess Ben James.
In the chat. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Sharon Wedderburn. Robert Witherwax, yes. Deborah Young.
Yes.
Thank you. Vilma Zuniga. And that was Miss Ben James and Mr. Buckholtz. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Witherwax. So the next item on the agenda is correspondence. I believe we had some letters come in. Do you want to go through those? Ms. George, correspondence? We'll move along on that one, okay? I'm sorry?
I didn't hear anything.
Okay.
I'm not sure what letters you're referring to.
I don't think she heard them. What letters?
We'll move along to acknowledgement of elected officials. Do we have elected officials or representatives of elected officials in the audience?
Yes,
Ms.
ma'am.
Lipkin, do you have any announcements to make? Arna Lipkin?
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, do you have?
Just a couple quick announcements. I'm here representing Majority Leader Lori Cumbo. I'm constituent service manager. We are doing constituent services remotely. If anyone needs any assistance, feel free to call our office. We pick up between 9:30 and 5:30. Our number is on our website, but I'd be happy to give it to you. It's 718-260-9191. You can also email me if you have any issues. So for all city issues, feel free to email us. If anyone needs free tax assistance, there's a link that I can send you. There is a link through New York City that shows the different free tax assistant places that are still doing that service. Also, in terms of, everybody knows that Medgar Evers is doing the vaccine. Interfaith is also doing walk-ins. I believe their number is, okay, just give me a second. I gotta look that up. I had it on my fingertips before, but you can easily Google that because it's kind of easy for people who are not internet savvy. You just call them at the beginning of the day and they let you know if they have the shot. I know they had the Johnson & Johnson this week, and I believe it was the Pfizer shot this week. So their number to call is 718-613-4000. Okay, 718-643-1000. And lastly, I just want to mention that there's also vaccine availability for homebound people. So if you know any seniors that are homebound, there's a number that I'm just going to give you, 877-VAX for NYC. That's 877-829-4762. And I'll try to put all that in the chat momentarily. Okay, just wishing everybody a good March. And thankfully, we see that everything is starting to open up, but we still do recommend to, especially if you have not had the vaccine, to please, keep your PPE at hand, wear your mask, keep your sanitizer, because people are still getting COVID. Thank God it's getting better, but hopefully this summer, we can, once more people have the vaccine, things will get a lot more relaxed in our city. Have a great month, and thanks for calling on me.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Lipkin. You're welcome. Thank you for being a regular attendee. Are there representatives from other elected officials or our elected officials themselves in our audience?
Yes, we have Kim Robinson. Kim Robinson, she can't unmute. Kim Robinson's here. Okay.
Got it. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kim Robinson with Councilmember Alika Ampry-Samuel. It is so good to be back. I was out for the month of February with COVID, but I am well, and I thank everyone for the well wishes. Our office is open remotely. The number is, I'll give you my work cell. It's 646-574-7661. So that's our office number. We're working remotely, and that is my direct cell number. Again, I want to just wish everyone a happy March, be safe, and I bring greetings on behalf of the council member. Thank you.
Also have Orlando Ross.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson.
Hi, everyone.
Could you repeat that?
Can you guys hear me?
That-
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. This is Mr. Ross. I'm Orlando Ross from Congresswoman Yvette Clarke's office. Have no updates as of yet. I just wanted to wish everyone a great new summer day. Today's a beautiful day. If you need, our offices is open for business, but only for virtual appointments. I'm going to drop my contact information in the chat group. Should you have any questions or any requests for immigration, visas, anything of that nature, we'd be more than happy to put your send me your request. One good thing we want to say from the federal standpoint of view, the $1.9 trillion admin that is about to be signed by our President Biden, which will afford financial benefits to education, to the actual city of New York and state, and to housing issues and all issues of that nature. I will have more information up and coming, and just wanted to wish everyone a great night.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. It's good to have you on the line. And I understand that the state of the district report that Representative Clarke gave is still on the web. Can you put that address in the chat?
I will be doing more than that. I'll give you guys the link, and then you can also disseminate it to everyone on the call. Thank you for participating. Thank you for participating for the event. We did have over 4,000 viewership of the actual event. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so who's next?
Petula Hanley from Assemblywoman Zimmerman's office.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Petula Hanley. I'm sorry, I'm a little dry throat this entire day. My apologies. So greetings from the Assembly member, Stephanie L. Zinnemann. I'm grateful to be here tonight. The Assembly member is still in Albany, as you can imagine, with everything that's going on, in addition to trying to pass the people's budget. And so she sends her greetings to you all. Just wanted to uplift that today, the Restoration the Restoration Building is now open as a new vaccination site in our district. Vaccinations started today from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and will continue until Saturday. As of next week, the vaccination time would be 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Mondays through Saturday. And this is at Restoration, 1368 Fulton Street. And so they do have staff in the lobby where you can walk in and make an appointment. You won't be able to get the vaccination that day, but if you are challenged with technology or lack of broadband or Wi-Fi, you can walk in and get an appointment. There's staff there to help you. Otherwise, if you choose to do so online, it is the same portal as the New York City portal. And so Restoration should be listed as a site on the drop down. So we're grateful that we have yet another site that's accessible. It's wheelchair accessible as well, in addition to all of the other information that was provided by City Council Majority Leader's office in terms of calling to get a ride to the vaccination center that's available, in addition to at-home vaccination are also available for those who are homebound. And so I just wanted to uplift that from the 56th district. In terms of legislation, the Assembly member did co-sponsor a bill, A3207, last week, and this bill provides eviction protection for small businesses of under 50 employees that demonstrate a financial hardship. And so I'm going to share this information with the chair, Ms. Tyus, and so that everyone can get an e-blast with all of the pertinent information. And so the final thing I'd like to uplift is that we did meet with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer this week, pastors, leaders of houses of worship, and educators around what the stimulus package would look like for houses of worship and religious schools. And we are hoping to have another meeting with him specifically for small businesses, especially restaurants, as we try to get back on our feet throughout this pandemic. So thank you all. If you have any questions or concern, I will put my contact information in the chat. In addition to that, I will ensure that I share this newsletter with Community Board 8, and have a great and wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hanley. That was very thorough and appreciated. We need to keep up with what legislation is moving through the process on all levels, and let our elected representatives know by calls and emails and letters that we support what they're trying to do to help us move through this trying time. So next we have
two more, Khalid Jamal and Raul Rothblatt. Two more left.
Okay. All right. So Ms. Crawford may be able to come on later, maybe. We'll see. Okay. Okay. Who's next? Good evening.
Good evening. This is Khalid from Assemblywoman Diana Richards' office in the 43rd District. The member brings her greetings. She's up in Albany right now during the legislative session. If you want to stay on top of what's going on, that the Richardson report will be dropping with information and resources for the community. Last week, we presented Sba 8 with a proclamation for their due diligence during the COVID pandemic. It's still going on, and everybody, thank you for all that you do. We were still trying to do the best that we can. We still don't know it all, but everybody's trying their best. Our office is closed, but you can make an appointment to come visit. We usually meet outside. You can call our office number 718-771-3105, and our email address is district43@nyassembly.gov. If you have any questions, you can, I'm gonna put my contact information below if anybody wants to reach out. And I hope everybody is taking their time to be safe and, you know, stay with their families. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Jamot. Ms. George, who's next?
Raul is next.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Raul Rothblatt. I am the communications person for Councilmember Robert Cornegie. I'm very glad to be here. We have been doing our weekly Wellness Wednesdays. We will be at Weeksville next week. This month, we are in Crown Heights North for the rest of the month. So we're there every Wednesday evenings. We also have our Facebook Live discussions. We had something on COVID last night. We often have educators. We'll be very glad to hear from you. If you're not following us on Facebook, we also are on Instagram and Twitter, and we do have an email sign-up list. I'll put that in the chat when I'm done here. The council member did send a letter recently to the Landmarks Preservation Commission about the Hebron site. We are standing with the community about calling for a the development there is truly out of scale and undermines the whole sense of the Crown Heights North landmarking designation. So we've been working on that. We got a letter from them. Hopefully that was sent to the Community Board 8 as well. We've been busy legislatively, of course. Let me think of some of the things that we're working on here. There's just something the other day that if a landlord is a repeat offender of housing violations, then they should not get an automatic permit to build a new building. If you're a bad actor, you should not be given the right to build, to create new problems What are some other things here? We have some things with, there's a death because of a filming. A film company modified a building in a dangerous situation. So we just passed some legislation the other day to make sure that there's better communication between film companies and the fire departments. Hold on, we got a lot going on. It's hard to keep up with it all. But the best thing to do is to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We also have a new cure violence guide that we just came out with, a lot of resources in the community. We're very strong in the belief that that violence should be solved like any other problem, and we have a lot of solutions in the community. There's a lot of great things that people are doing. I'll put that in the chat as well. And one more thing, we have a new bill to make sure that people have a choice. If you have a mental health problem, you can call a new 3-digit number instead of going to 911 or 311. Neither of those are appropriate to somebody who is going through a mental health crisis. So that's another thing that we're very proud of. And I do hope to hear from all of you. I'll put my email in here. I would love to hear what's going on in the community. I hope you all know I love to stay in touch with folks, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raul. We always depend on you. You've been so faithfully active over the years, and it's wonderful to have you here.
We have a question. I
have.
Matthias.
Yes, ma'am. Proceed.
Yes. Sarah Lazar, can you just have your question?
Sure.
Pull it up.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rothblatt. I was wondering if you could share in the chat the bill number for the one regarding landlords or developers that have code violations and restricting their ability to get building permits. And I don't know if, well, I think this might come up later, but the Housing Committee for Community Board 8 also has a letter for Councilmember Cornegie regarding Intro 2050, which would expand right to council. And so I don't know if you're able to communicate what Mr. Cornegie's position on that is. Thank you.
Hold on a second. I'm trying to put this one thing in the chat. Intro 2050. Let me look that up. I may have an answer. It's not on the top of my head though. I'll try to look into that and get you an answer as soon as in the next few minutes.
Thank you.
Moving right along.
I have a hand up. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Deborah Young has her hand up.
Please
Deborah,
go ahead, Ms. Young.
Okay. Thank you. I want to thank Raul and Council Member Cornegie. As Raul mentioned, he did send a letter out to Landmark Preservation Commission requesting that they have Hope Street Capitol return to the community for presentation. We were copied on that, so we appreciate that. It was sent very timely, which we also appreciate. Raul, we will be sending, hopefully it'll be in your office by tomorrow morning, another request. Since LPC rejected the request, we are asking our council member to send another letter, which we've drafted a sample for you and hope that it can get into LPC by the due date, which is Monday, 12 noon. I will follow up with the email. It'll be in the email box by tomorrow morning. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Thank you, Mr. Rothblatt. This is all very focused on the wave of development coming into the Crown Heights North Historic District in this community district. It's very popular. I think even Board 3 is getting a wave of development in their historic districts as well. So do we have other elected representatives or their representatives to speak now, Ms. George?
I see someone said that Karen Crawford from the DA's office is here. She must be a caller because I don't see her name anywhere.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if she's one of these telephone numbers. She would have to press *6 to unmute herself. I'm not sure.
Ms. Crawford, can you hear us? Can you do that? Press *6 to speak.
I'm hearing you guys, but like six.
We can hear you now. We can hear you. Okay,
great.
go ahead.
Good night, everyone. I bring you greetings from the District Attorney's Office. We are still working remotely from home, so if you have any issues or concerns, please give me a call. My phone number is 718-250-4877. We will love to partnership with anyone if you're having any problems. Our office is hosting our Women's History Month, which will be an event. It's going to be on March 31st. It's going to be aired twice. So it's going to be aired once at 12 and then at 6 o'clock. When that flyer is ready, I will send it to the board, and I hope you all will join us. Our last event, which was the Black History Month, we had over 300 people. So, our events are good, and especially in times of COVID, we are trying to bring a solution. It's, you will be calming. It's enjoyable. So please join us on March 31st. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Crawford. Okay, I believe we're moving on to action items from two committees, Parks Department and State Liquor Authority Sidewalk Cafe Review. So that would be Ms. Andrews for the Parks Committee. Ms. Andrews, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Good evening, everyone. The Parks Committee met on Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021 via WebEx. The committee heard a presentation from the Brooklyn Children Museum regarding the conceptual design submission of the Earth Science Garden. The board initially voted on the retaining wall portion of the project in late 2019. And the Public Design Commission asked the museum to make a presentation on the Earth Science Garden. The committee voted unanimously to support the exhibit portion of the Earth Science Garden and hope the full board support its recommendation. If you have any questions, we do have somebody from the Brooklyn Brooklyn Museum.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stephanie Wilchford. I'm the president of Brooklyn Children's Museum. I'm happy to answer questions about the exhibit or give a little bit of a very brief overview of it.
Thank you, Ms. Wilchford. We can always count on you to support this community. And we are just so happy that your organization is here and we hope thriving. Let me look and see if there are questions here on that. Ms. Weatherspoon?
No questions at this time.
Are there other aspects of this project that you want us to know about, Ms. Wilchford?
Well, I just will share that this is a really exciting project for the museum. The museum hasn't had a very big, major new exhibit, permanent exhibit, in 12 years since the new building was built. And this is going to be an outdoor earth science center with climbers and big gross motor play areas, a water area for kids, slides, climbing spaces. It's all going to be very well integrated into the natural environment. It is rooted in earth science and the geology of Brooklyn, and the exhibit portion, the learning piece, is about why Brooklyn has slopes and heights and how Brooklyn's landscape became Brooklyn's landscape. And the fun part of it is that the kids will be learning through moving their bodies and gross motor play. We've hired a wonderful exhibit design firm to do this work. We have a really substantial grant from the state of New York to get it started. We are still fundraising for it, but it's really exciting. Just so everybody knows where this is going to be, it is the 20,000 square foot area, outdoor area between the museum and Brower Park. So where Brower Park ends, if you ever look over the handball court or the fence in between the museum and Brower Park, you can see that there's about this sort of very large backyard of the museum that is not currently in use because there are structural problems that make it unsafe, but the city of New York is fixing those problems. And it will be a safe space for us to install new exhibits. And I want to shout out the Parks Committee for listening so patiently and being really wonderful recipients of our presentation, asking really great questions and giving us great thinking on this. And then I'll just finally say that the museum is open. We are open on Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. On Thursdays we are pay what you wish in the afternoons. We are hoping to bring the museum back to full capacity before December 31st of this year. But we are seeing wonderful demand from our community. We are seeing the community come back. We've installed new air filters. We have a lot of health and safety measures that we're taking on the floor. And we're really excited that families are able to come back to us. So I want to thank CB8 for being so incredibly supportive of us during this time. To the entire community, you know, we could not have done this without you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wiltford. This is very encouraging, and we appreciate the detail on the news. The kids will learn a lot, and they'll learn that they're very lucky to be on high ground in this new era of sea level rise.
That's right.
So we're going to move on to committee reports from
we need to vote on this.
We need to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Well,
Madam Chair.
I believe, thank you, Mr. Ellis. You're always on point with these reminders.
Sorry, Madam Chair, in all fairness, it wasn't me that raised it, but I did have a quick question before I make a motion to support, if that's okay.
Yeah, yes. Of course.
Yeah, I'm just curious, this might be directed more to the committee chair, Ms. Andrews, can you just explain to us what the support recommendation is supporting? Is there a permitting process, or is this just a general, we've heard this and we appreciate this and we're supporting this? Ms. Andrews, can you articulate a little on that?
Yes, we are supporting their presentation of the design of what they want to do. Yes.
Wonderful.
It's already been funded. Yes.
It's just to give one more piece of clarity on that. We do have to take this project to the Public Design Commission, and they will request a letter from the community board indicating that we've presented to you and that you have supported the project.
Wonderful, thank you. That clarity was appreciated. I was wondering if there was something to that effect, but I'm hearing that question, and if there's no other questions from any of my colleagues, I'm happy to make a motion to support the Parks Committee's recommendation.
I second that. Yourself.
Can we have the vote?
Mr. Witherwax will call the roll on the Parks Committee's recommendation to send a letter of support to the Public Design Commission.
My pleasure.
On this
Mr. Allison.
Yes, to support.
Thank you. Ms. Andrews.
Yes.
Mr. Atkins.
Definitely.
Ms. Atkinson.
Yes.
Mr. Bailey. Oh, I'm pulling off my Ms. Ben James.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Boyd. Ms. Branch Mohammed.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Buckholz.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Charles. Ms. Daniel.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Ellis.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Farley.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Ferris. Mr. Frazier. Mr. Gabriel.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbs.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Granville.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Harris Glenman.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Henry.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Kinsey. Ms. Lauser.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Lemaine. Ms. Mahoney. Mr. Ecclesteins.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Puka. Mr. Raji.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Saunders. Mr. Staton. Ms. Supervielle. Mr. Thurton.
He was there.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark. Mr. Todd. Ms. Tyus.
Of course, yes.
Thank you, Mr. McConey.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Vilas. Ms. Watson.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Weatherspoon.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Wedderburn.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Witherwax. Yes, so long as it mentions the glacial terminal moraine. Deborah
It
Young.
definitely will. It's
Good.
all about the glacial terminal moraine.
Perfect. Deborah Young.
Yes.
Thank you. Vilma Zuniga. The motion passes, 29 in favor, unanimously.
Thank you all so much for this.
You're very welcome, Ms. Wilchford, and I'm sure we will all be bringing our grandkids and other folks to the facility, and thank you for keeping it going.
Ms.
So,
Granville has a question.
go ahead, Ms. Granville.
I wanted to know when the new library will be open.
That is a wonderful question. Construction is currently underway, and we anticipate that it will be open in December 2021. In the interim, I just want to make sure everybody knows that you can both pick up and drop off books in the museum's lobby. There is a library kiosk there. And so if you order your books online, you can come get them there, or you can come in and talk to a librarian there.
Excellent.
Wonderful, wonderful service. Fantastic. Great ideas. Okay. Anything else from the audience while we have Ms. Wilchford? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to Slack. Mr. Ellis, are you ready?
I am. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and community members. This is James Ellis, the chair of the SLA and Sidewalk Cafe Review Committee. I also want to acknowledge my co-chair, Mr. Robert Witherwax, who's also our adept secretary and note caper. I also, before I start into the action items, I just have a couple announcements to share regarding this particular segment of our community. One is as regulations loosen up and allow for greater capacity in these restaurants, I want to also remind our community members and board members that, this is a growing pains for many. These restaurant license holders and food and beverage outlets are trying to generate jobs for our community members and get back on their feet. And as things are going to be opening up to 50% soon, I just wanted to remind and call people's attention to an opportunity. If there's some issues that you notice in operations that you have concerns about, and you're not getting appropriate response directly, and don't feel like it's necessary to engage at a higher level of 911 status or public health, major public health concern, there's a program through OATH, the Office of Tribunals and Hearings, called MEND, M-E-N-D. It's a mediation service. And so if you're a community member that is nearby with somebody that you're concerned about that's not acting appropriately, then I encourage you guys to check out that program and try to look at alternative methods in negotiating appropriate responses and corrected activities. So that is one. I'll leave the link in the chat for everybody's reference. I just put it in there. It's there to help disputes because we really want to be flexible, but yet still, making sure that everybody is practicing safe COVID practices throughout this process. The other announcement I want to announce is in regards to the American Rescue Plan that was just moved through Congress and the Senate and then the President this week. One thing of interest that would really be able to support many of our businesses is part of this $1.9 million package is $28.6 billion in restaurant funds. Much of that is going to be grantable, so it's not going to be loans. So it's an opportunity to recoup expenses previously not able to, that were limited to only payroll costs. Now it's allowing for utilities, mortgage and rent, maintenance, supplies, et cetera. So that's really good news. And we really, those of you that have relationships with restaurateurs and food and beverage outlets, I really strongly encourage you to remind them to look into this package, get their paperwork in order, because once it launches, there's the assumption that funds are, limited. So we really want to make sure our community gets its fair share and has an opportunity to tap into these resources. So I appreciate the freedom to share that, and I'll jump right into the action items at this point. So first of all, let me pull up my notes. So the SLAC committee met on Monday, March 1st, 2021 via WebEx. The committee discussed the following, including the discussion of the following renewal licenses at 2 Saints, 753 Nostrand Avenue, renewing a full license. Cataldo's 554 Vanderbilt Avenue, renewing for a wine, beer, and cider license. Maisanyaki at 626 Vanderbilt Avenue, renewing for a full license. The Ryerson at 698 Nostrand Avenue, renewing for a full license. Secrets at 724 Nostrand Avenue for a full license. Charlene's at 353 Flatbush for a full license. 4 and 20 Blackbirds at 634 Dean Street, renewing for a wine, beer, and cider license. Puerto Viejo at 564 Grand Avenue, renewing for a wine, beer, and cider license. And finally, Nostrand Pub at 658 Nostrand Avenue, renewing for a full license. It was a very robust renewal period, and we're personally happy to see so many still trying to move forward with their operations. But one correction for the benefit of our committee members in the action item notes is Lincoln Station that was listed as a renewal was actually included in one of the tabled items below. But so corrections on the written notes, but as I read them out as part of the record is what I'm presenting today is all of those renewals that were then, the committee voted to support all these renewals pending receipt and updated information as requested. All requested information is noted as being received by the district office, and the committee hopes that the full board supports its recommendation. At this point, I will work with my co-vice chair, Ms. Weatherspoon, to see if there's any questions or comments from any community members and then any board members.
So far, I don't see any.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. That was a robust report. I would like to add to your announcements that there is a notice on the news section of our website for the board that there is a program for grants for businesses that do not have employees, and it closes the 31st of this month. So take a look at that. If you don't have employees, you're still eligible for this grant. So
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Ellis, I have a question. It's Tamika Gibbs.
Hi, Ms. Gibbs.
Hi. Did you mention, I didn't hear you mention the 268 Kingston Avenue be tabled till April.
Right, that's the next section of our action items.
Okay. Oh, no problem. Just making sure. I heard you mention Lincoln Station, but not Basil Pizza. Okay.
Right. Thank you for that. But yes, it's a part of the other section of action items, the tabled items.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. So if there are no other questions, Ms. Weatherspoon, if we don't have any other questions, can we call for a motion on this, please?
Yes, no more questions.
Okay, is there a motion? Go ahead.
Hi, sorry, it's Sarah Lazar. I move to support the committee's recommendations.
I second that motion, Tamika Gibbs.
Thank you. Please call the roll, Mr. Witherwax.
That all important unmute button. Chairman Allison.
Yes to support.
Thank you. Glinda Andrews.
Yes.
Thank you. Desmond Atkins.
Yes.
Thank you. Lisa Atkinson.
Yes.
Thank you. Wayne Bailey. Princess Ben James.
Yes.
Thank you. Julia Boyd. Gail Branch Mohammed.
Yes.
Thank you. John Buckholtz.
Yes.
Thank you. Robert Callahan.
Yes.
Thank you. Hanji Charles. Nora Daniel.
Yes.
Thank you. James Ellis.
Yes.
Thank you. Kevin Farley.
Yes.
Thank you. Andrea Ferris. Fred Frazier. Drew Gabriel.
Yes.
Thank you. Tamika Gibbs.
Yes.
Thank you. Nijani Granville.
Yes.
Thank you. Ajini Harris Blenman.
Yes.
Thank you. Marva Henry.
Yes.
Thank you. Zerzima Jordan.
Say yes now.
Yes.
Thank you. Regina Kinsey. Sarah Lazar.
Yes.
Thank you. Mireille Lemaine. Elaine Mahoney. Elvis Mickelsteins.
Yes.
Thank you. Robert Puka. Yaya Raji.
Yes.
Thank you. Adam Sachs.
Yes.
Thank you. Brian Saunders. Meredith Seaton. Hermesia Superfield. Mark Thurton.
Yes.
Thank you. Greg Todd. Ethel Tyus.
Yes.
Thank you. Gib Viconi.
Yes.
Thank you. Eves.
Who's on my fucking community board?
Kimberly Watson.
Yep, from Callahan also. Fucking Greg Todd.
I'm sorry. Somebody
No.
needs to mute.
Not only are they in,
Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself.
Mr. Mickelsteins, mute yourself.
Thank you.
Politics.
Kimberly Watson.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Watson. Yrsa Weatherspoon.
Yes.
Thank you. Sharon Wedderburn.
Yes.
Thank you. Robert Witherwax, yes. Deborah Young.
Yes.
Thank you. Vilma Zuniga. The motion passes 29 in favor.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Weatherwax.
I just wanted to mention that Greg Todd is on the line, but he can't unmute himself.
Oh, I see. Thank you, Mr. Todd.
I want to suggest, Mr. Witherwax, possibly we can remind people that if their audio is bad, they can put their vote in the chat.
Absolutely. I'll, Ms. Weatherspoon has been so wonderful to watch that for me as I take the role, and I appreciate that greatly. If you wish to vote in the chat, I will accept it.
Mr. Ellis, you have more to report?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Let me pull up my notes. All right. The committee discussed the following other 3 new renewal liquor license applications with either missing, no information, incorrect, or disputed information submitted by the proprietor or representative. Inclusive Boof and Bun of 271 Kingston Avenue of wine, beer, and cider license, Lincoln Station 409 Lincoln Place of a full license, and Basil 268 Kingston Avenue of a full license. The committee voted to table the above licenses to give the applicants an opportunity to appear with updated info in hopes that the full board support its recommendation.
If the committee
Mr.
tables,
Ellis,
the full board
I'm
doesn't
sorry.
have to vote on it.
If it's tabled, we don't have to vote on it, correct, Mr. Witherwax?
Yep.
All right, so they're gonna come back, right, when they put it back together?
That's the assumption. I was just reading from the action item notes. My apologies.
Okay, this is good, this is good.
right.
Full
We also have-
disclosure is wonderful. Go ahead.
We also have a couple other renewals that I'd like to present.
Mhm.
Or not renewals, some new applications that I'd like to
Okay.
present.
It looks like 6 to me, go ahead.
I have, sorry, there it is, sorry, lost the page. The following new application was heard for number 7 restaurant at 627 Vanderbilt Avenue, seeking a full license. Details of the operation include patron capacity of 42, 1 bar with 12 seats, 5 tables with 2 to 6 seats each. Hours of operation presented are Sunday noon to 11, Tuesday through Thursday 5 to 1 a.m., Friday 5 p.m. to 2 a.m., and Saturday noon to 2 a.m. They're presenting a backyard with a capacity of 15 patrons to operate Sunday noon to 10 p.m., Tuesday through Thursday, 5 p.m. to 11, Friday, 5 p.m. to midnight, and Saturday, noon to midnight. Amplified speakers include 3 interior speakers, and their employment includes 7 employees per shift. This is considered a removal application, meaning the applicant is relocating to a different address with the same principles and the same method of operations. So this is being moved from a location outside of our community board to this community board. Another note here is Brotherhood Baptist Church is directly next door, making it a potential 200-foot exception, but the applicant was encouraged to allow the SLA, the final determination of this establishment, and the legality of Brotherhood space while contacting the house of worship and working with the pastor. To this point, they've stated that their correspondence has not been answered. The committee voted 12 in favor with 1 abstention to support this removal application that is treated as a new one in hopes that the full board support its recommendation. All right.
Questions?
Questions.
I'm sure there are questions on this.
Yeah.
Ms. Weatherspoon?
There are no questions
No,
lodged
I have a
in
question.
chat.
Mr. Atkins?
Okay, Mr. Atkins.
Yes. I'm just curious that if there is a church adjacent to this place. I noticed that you guys voted 12 to agree and 1 abstaining. And they're saying that the church has not responded to their correspondence?
That's correct. So, Mr. Atkins, I'll remind you that this location was also previously part of the soda bar operations.
No, I don't remember that. What I did get was that they had moved from another district into ours.
That's correct.
Mr. Ellis, can you inform our audience regarding whether or not a church building being used partially for non-worship activities is an issue with licensing?
Well, let me present something more globally, so I'm not making any editorial. But as it stands, if there is a house of worship within 200 feet of the operation, they are limited to a beer, wine, and cider license. The previous this same location previously hosted a fully operational license holder prior to this, on the grounds that it was determined that that house of worship is not being fully operated at 100% of house of worship purposes. Currently, it was requested, and it's not our determination, it's an SLA determination. So it was our suggestion to move this forward and allow the SLA to make the final determination based on its own records. And if that being the case, then that's why the committee's moving forward in the support that it had presented. It'll be the SLA's determination, but there's so far, according to the applicant, been no correspondence returned and inquiry to their outreach to the establishment.
So you were saying that there was another full liquor license establishment prior at that address.
That's correct.
And that the SLA allowed them to operate in spite of the fact that there was a person claiming that they had a religious institution there.
Right,
and
but so the claim to a religious institution that the structure has to be used 100% for institution purposes. If it's being used at any commercial purposes or residential tenants, other than family members or staff, I guess, of the institution, then it's not considered 100% religious use.
And
that's the tricky part, that we allow the SLA to make the determination.
No, I got you. My only question is, how long was the other establishment there before?
Oh gosh, 15 years.
Okay, thank you. I mean, like, hearing all of that, then it makes sense as to why this is going forward. But looking at it, it didn't really make it didn't add up.
I appreciate the scrutiny, because it is a very delicate situation, and we're happy to articulate what our rationale was behind this.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ellis. Unless there are other questions, Ms. Weatherspoon, I'm going to ask for a motion on this recommendation.
No other questions, Chair.
No other questions.
No other questions.
So I ask for a motion on the committee's recommendation, which is to support the removal application treated as new.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Tamika Gibbs.
Okay, so Mr. Coney and Gibbs.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Can everyone mute themselves? Thank you.
So now that we have order, I would ask Mr. Witherwax to call the roll. We have a motion and a second to support.
Certainly. The motion to support the removal application for number 7 from Community Board 2 to Community Board 8. Tierney Allison.
Yes.
Thank you. Linda Andrews.
Yes.
Thank you. Desmond Atkins.
Yes.
Thank you. Lisa Atkinson.
Yes.
Thank you. Wayne Bailey. Princess Ben James.
Abstain.
Thank you. Julia Boyd. Jael Mohammed.
Yes.
Thank you. John Buckholtz.
Yes.
Thank you. Robert
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Thank you. Andre Charles. Nora Daniel.
Yes.
Thank you. James Ellis.
Yes.
Thank you. Kevin Farley.
Yes.
Thank you. Andrea Ferris. Fred Frazier. Drew Gabriel.
Yes.
Thank you. Tamika Gibbs.
Yes.
Thank you. Nijani Granville.
Yes.
Thank you. Igeni Harris Blenman.
Yes.
Thank you. Marva Henry.
Yes.
Thank you. Zerzima Jordan.
Yes.
Thank you. Regina Kinsey. Sarah Lazar.
Yes.
Thank you. Miranda Lemaine. Elaine Mahoney. Elvis
Yes.
Mickelstein. Yes, Mr. Mahoney. Thank you, Mr. Mickelsteins. Robert Kuka. Yaya Raji.
Yes.
Thank you. Adam Sachs.
Yes.
Thank you. Brian Saunders. Meredith Staten. Parmesia Superville. Mark Thurton.
Yes.
Thank you. Greg Todd.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Todd. Ethel Tyus.
Yes.
Thank you. Kip McConey.
Yes.
Thank you. Eve Villans. Kimberly Watson. Irsa Witherspoon.
Yes.
Thank you. Sharon Wedderburn.
Yes.
Thank you. Robert Witherwax, yes. Deborah Young.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes 29 in favor with 1 abstention.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Weatherwax.
Mr. Weatherwax. So we're asking Mr. Ellis to finish his report.
Yep, we have one final, a new application presented for a beer, wine, and cider license for King David Tacos, operating at 611 Bergen Street. Details of operation include 2 service counters with 7 stools, maximum interior capacity of 7. Currently has tacos to go in multiple of the neighborhood bagel and coffee shops in the district. And also in this application presented outdoor space, but agreed to remove from the license at this time. The committee voted 13 in favor to support this application with the removal of the outdoor space of its presentation and hopes that the full board support its recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Any questions?
Yes. I have a question. Mr. Ellis, did we go and did we know if they confirmed that they removed the outdoor space?
They say, yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure what you mean. I think our letter will mention that the support is based on removal of outdoor space.
Okay.
I think the reason why we mentioned this or had this conversation was the fact that the use of outdoor space is now being kind of prescribed in a different manner and going through different channels than it had previously been. But in this case, I think it was just, it was just current circumstances don't need them to permit their outdoor space.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Ms. Granville has a question. She wants to know what will the hours be.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Ms. Granville wants to know what will the hours be.
Oh yeah, those aren't in the notes. I feel like they were closing relatively early in the day, like 4 o'clock maybe. I can't speak. Is the representative here on the call?
Yeah, Solomon, I'm gonna unmute her.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I don't recall the details without the application in front of me. Ms. Solomon, are you available?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, hi, this is Liz. Sorry, I think there might be a bit of confusion. We weren't removing the outdoor space. We had 2 outdoor speakers on our application that you asked us to remove. It's the outdoor space. So the outdoor space we definitely were keeping. I don't think that was discussed to remove it.
Sorry, it looks like there was some error of our notes being moved from one source to another. Okay, that does recall. There was a question, because there was a question in the chat about outdoor speakers, and I do remember that being a part of our conversation. So let's back up and maybe, Ms. Solomon, if you can, for our sake, and due to the fact that we don't have our notes present in front of, or I don't have the application present in front of me, maybe you can just quickly describe the terms of your outdoor space and speak to Ms. Granville's question of your hours of operation.
Yes. So for the hours of operation, I mean, we're a breakfast business and we're going to be breakfast and lunch. We are requesting 6 a.m. I think, yeah, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. But just to give us the flexibility as we figure out what we're going to be doing in the later part of the afternoon. Our outdoor space is actually behind the property line. If you're familiar with 611 Bergen, which most people are not, but it's in between Vanderbilt and Carlton on Bergen, and it's actually the lot to the side of the building. So that is where the majority of our seating will be, and that will seat up to 50.
Great. And then I believe there was conversation the removal of outdoor speakers that had originally been presented, I think, is where we got all confused, right? Is that correct, Ms. Solomon?
Correct.
Great.
Yep, we were removing the outdoor speakers.
In short, your outdoor space, and this answers the question for, I think, Natalie Baer, was to the side of them with a capacity of 50. Their hours of operation, for Ms. Granville's question, were till 10 p.m. daily. And there was a question about outdoor speakers, and those have been removed from the application.
Correct.
Any other questions from our community members or committee or board members? I'm not seeing any, but I'll rely on Ms. Weatherspoon.
Yeah, they're none lodged in the chat.
Great, thank you very much. I guess at this point, Madam Chair, we'll ask for a motion from one of our members.
Excuse me. A motion to accept the application and the recommendations of the committee.
All right, thank you.
I was trying to get a question in before
Yes, Desmond Atkins, yes, you may. I understand Ms. Muhammad has a motion on the floor. We're going to call for a second after you finish your question.
Okay, so the applicant says that the open space was behind the property line.
Yeah, it's. I guess it would be considered a side yard.
A side yard is, and so 611 is west of Vanderbilt. It's west of the street of the major avenue.
Yes.
Between Vanderbilt and Carlton, yeah.
So it's not a corner building.
Must be.
It's not a corner building.
No, I'm looking at Google, trying to look at Google Maps, and I'm trying to figure out approximately where it is. And so now, are we voting on this stating that we're going to allow them to have the outdoor space?
Yes, that is what's being presented.
Okay, because that wasn't clear, and it was just decided. Okay, thank you.
I have one question. In the past, the committee didn't allow an establishment to double their inside capacity. So they only seat 7 inside, but the outdoor space will seat 50?
Yes, that's what they said.
Well, so Madam District Manager, to be clarified, that limitation that the committee has been trying to hold to is for sidewalk cafes, which is access to public space, the sidewalk bed. In this case, this is private space, which would be additional leased land, even though it's to the side of their building and it's a yard. We don't have those kind of limitations or suggestions for rear yard spaces as we have had in the past for sidewalk cafes, which is to the point you're speaking to. This is additional space that they've leased, and so they're paying rent on that space, and they're presenting use of operations in that manner on their private rented space.
Okay, may I speak? May I have another question?
Go ahead.
So when they have this extra space that will seat 50, are they planning on having external speakers and playing and having audio entertainment in that space?
So that was the misunderstanding how it got written in the action items. It was the removal of the outdoor speakers that they agreed to, not the removal of the outdoor space. It just our notes were miscommunicated. So they have removed all the outdoor space or outdoor speakers.
Okay, and going forward, there will be no external entertainment.
They have not, their application that we're supporting currently does not present that as part of their operations.
Oh, the reason I'm asking is because if it's an open space in the future, someone might find that objectionable, and then their point would be, this has been going on as a matter of course.
Right, but I guess what I just
Call you back on the community board meeting.
Sorry, Madam Tyus, there you go. We only can go on the reconnaissance of not reconnaissance, but what the applicant is presenting. And in the application, it asks if they're doing any live music. It asks if they're doing any musical programming. And this application was presented with none. And so we are basing our recommendation on what they presented to us. If at a future date they try to alter that operation, it would be incumbent on them to come back to the committee and let us know they'd like to change some of their operations. That's kind of how we've set this up in the past. I believe our recommendation and the application also is indicated at the SLA level that they will not be having live performances. So that is also one way of validating that they're not going to do that unless they come back and make adjustments.
Mr. Ellis, there's also a question. Hi, is this additional space listed on their liquor license as a place where they're serving liquor?
Great question, Ms. Gibbs. That is why it's being presented as a part of this, because the SLA requires operators to tell us everywhere that they're serving alcohol. And just for a point of, and so that's why this outdoor space is included and will be an area for service. But for clarity, they're not requesting a liquor license. They're only requesting a beer, wine, and cider license. And I also remind the committee members and those concerned community members that this is a breakfast taco place. This isn't a nightclub. This isn't it isn't, a party spot. It's a breakfast taco and morning breakfast grab place. They're just looking to amplify their opportunities and gather maybe additional lunch sales.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. I believe the representative did say they'll go from 6 a.m. to 10. Is that 10 p.m.?
That's what she mentioned, and I think as she also articulated, it was 10 p.m. because they're uncertain of how long their operations were, but they wanted to include that time in case it rolls into a dinner hour.
More questions, Ms. Weatherspoon?
Other questions or comments listed?
I would also just add that this is going into one of the, and correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the manufacturing blocks on Bergen Street. It's not a residential section.
Right.
Right, Robert, that came up. That was mentioned when we had the SLA meeting.
Yeah, so I'm less concerned about neighbors being upset. And to Mr. Atkins' point about, somebody gets there and then says, hey, I was here first. That's exactly what we want to have happen to a certain degree.
And since you mentioned that, Mr. Witherex, I'll also share, this is a very unique business model. They have a commissary where they're making food to sell off premise and other people are using them. So it's a unique model in the sense that they've got a manufacturing facility and making these breakfast tacos that they sell off premise elsewhere, but they're also having their own little showroom, so to speak, by being able to sell their own product within their space and maybe entertain people with an outdoor garden and a couple cold beers.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. If there are no more questions, we need a second on Ms. Mohammed's motion to support.
Second.
Okay, we had two. Which one wants to be listed?
Not me.
Okay, Mr. Bocconi is the second. Please call the roll to a vote on supporting King David Tacos.
Thank you, Ms. Tyus. Mr. Tierney Allison.
Yes to support.
Thank you. Ms. Glinda Andrews.
Yes.
Thank you. Desmond Atkins.
Yes.
Thank you. Lisa Atkinson.
Yes.
Thank you. Princess Ben James.
Yes.
Thank you. Gail Branch Muhammad.
Yes.
Thank you. John Buckholtz.
Yes.
Thank you. Robert Callahan.
Yes.
Thank you. Nora Daniel.
Yes.
Thank you. James Ellis.
Yes.
Thank you. Kevin Farley.
Yes.
Thank you. Drew Gabriel.
Yes.
Thank you. Tamika Gibbs.
Yes.
Thank you. Najani Granville.
Yes.
Thank you. Igenie Harris Blenman.
Abstain.
Thank you. Marva Henry.
Yes.
Thank you. Zerzima Jordan.
Yes.
Thank you. Sarah Lazar.
Yes.
Thank you. Elaine Mahoney. Calvis Nicholstein.
Yes.
Thank you. Yaya Raji.
Yes.
Thank you. Adam Sachs.
Sorry, yes.
Thank you. Mark Thurton.
Yes. I apologize.
Thank you. No problem. Greg Todd.
Yes.
Thank you. Ethel Tyus.
Yes.
Thank you. Gib Piccone.
Yes.
Thank you. Kimberly Watson. Irsa Weatherspoon.
Yes.
Thank you. Sharon Wedderburn.
Yes.
Thank you. Robert Witherwax. Yes. Deborah Young.
Yes.
Thank you. Vilma Zuniga. The motion passes 28 in favor, 1 abstention.
Vilma Zuniga's present.
Should I say anything? Yeah, I said yes. Did you hear me?
No, I didn't. Now I
No.
do. Thank you.
Yeah, I just said yes.
29 is 1 abstention.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, you're causing trouble.
Thank you. Mahoney also said yes. She put it in the chat.
Thank
So
you, Ms.
30.
Mahoney. 30 in favor, 1 abstention.
Okay. So there's a bit of lag as we transmit our audio over the internet. So thank you all for your action item reports. We're going to move on to regular committee reports.
Excuse me, Ms. Chair, I'm sorry. We have Jonathan Maribel that wanted to make a comment, or he has a question.
Or, okay, a particular item?
Sorry, it's waiting patiently, actually, until after the Slack report was completed.
Go ahead, Mr. Maribel.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So my name is Jonathan Maribel. I'm from the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. Just want to make a quick announcement about an initiative that we're doing to support small businesses, including restaurants in need of support during these times, called the New York City Small Business Resource Network. Businesses can sign up on the website and they'll get one-on-one assistance for any of their businesses. I'll put the link in the chat as well as my contact information if anyone has any questions. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Maribel. Mr. Ellis, I'm sure you would love to have Mr. Maribel come to your meetings from time to time, maybe?
He's certainly welcome, of course. I just worked with his colleague, the hospitality specialist, Ms. Biscardi. She walked Flatbush Avenue, and we were able to outreach to some of the businesses along CB8's border at Flatbush Avenue today. So we made good use of his program. There's a lot of resources, so I encourage all those that know, not just restaurants and food and beverage outlets, but all businesses to check into the Small Business Resource Network and tap into their litany of opportunities. So thanks, Mr. Maribel, for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis, and thank you again, Mr. Marable. Moving right along, I'm going to give a brief recap on land use. We saw 4 items. One was tabled, and that is 840 Atlantic Avenue. We will see it again. It's a proposal for an 18-story mixed-use development with 316 dwelling units, of which 95 are purportedly affordable, and it will have 50,000 square feet of retail and 7,000 square feet of community facility for creative outlets with a 15-year lease to that arts organization created and managed by Jamel Gaines. Now, this is a large ULURP application. We will see it again, and we have 60 days to hold a hearing. It was certified on March 1st, so we will have them come back to the committee again and take a look at the notes that were circulated with this item. So there's no vote on that tonight, just a report back. The description is on the DCP website, zapplanning.nyc.gov for projects, and it gives a project number. That is in the action items that the report from the committee was circulated earlier. And we heard a presentation on the council speaker's proposal for a 10-year comprehensive citywide planning process incorporating budgeting and strategic planning with land use. This is coming from Council Speaker Johnson, and it was presented by Annie Liebers. She heads that Office of Strategic Initiatives for the council. We are going to ask her back again. I've circulated a link to the report a couple of times. It's 40 pages. Please take a look. It takes a deep dive, but it's looking at trying to coordinate all of the different planning functions that the city does, coordinate all of the reports. There was an application by the owner or the representative of 1323 Park Place. What is that? And that person is going to come back. He's going to discuss his proposal with the Crown Heights North Association and return. And lastly, there was a brief discussion of a private rezoning proposal for 1034-1040 Atlantic Avenue by Eli Pariente, and he will come back with his proposal next month, and we'll see that. Who's dragging stuff? What is that? Can you mute your microphone, please? Okay, we're going to move on to the next committee report, and that will be the Health Committee. Who's reporting for the Health Committee, please?
Good evening, everyone. Our next meeting is March 18th at 5 p.m. and we will be planning our speaker series on financial health. So we are hoping to partner with some folks from the Economic Development Committee if you guys are free to come out. If not, feel free to email Tamika or I and we can talk offline as well. And we'll see you all soon. That's all.
Madam Chair, you're still muted.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking. Thank you, Mr. Ellis. The next report, it will be from the Housing Committee.
Okay, I will be giving this.
The report.
I will give the report for Ms. Granville. So the Housing Committee met last night. My name is Adam Sachs. I'm the co-chair of the Housing Committee. We met last night, so I haven't been able to submit minutes to the board, so we don't have minutes, but I will submit those as soon as I can. We met last night. We discussed two things. The first is some legislation at City Council right now to expand the right to counsel law, which right now is limited to only a certain number of zip codes in the city. Guaranteeing people in housing court the right to have counsel with them. Can someone mute? I'm getting a lot of. All right, that's better. So right now, that legislation is in city council with 22 council members signed on. So there needs to be 4 more for them to expand that for people in all zip codes to have right to council. And so we discussed writing a letter to Councilmember Cornegie, who is the one of our 2 community board council members, and he's the one who hasn't signed on to this bill. Cumbo already has. So we made a motion and passed that to write a letter. Right to Council NYC Coalition has a kind of template letter that they're asking organizations to send. I will be in contact with Ms. Tyus and the board to see if that needs to be made an action item for next month for us to write this letter. Otherwise, we'll try and get that out as soon as possible. And then the other item was discussing the legislation that Ms. Tyus just discussed that we talked about at the ULURP meeting. We passed around the 54-page document that Ms. Tyus referenced, and we're going to discuss that at the April meeting. Our next meeting is in April. Let me just confirm the date. Apologies for the delay. And our next meeting will be April 14th at 6:15. So if you'd like to get into an in-depth conversation on that, on the expanded 10-year planning and how that might impact housing and questions that we might have for whenever they do come back, please attend that meeting. That is it for the Housing Committee, unless there's any questions.
Just as a note, I put the draft of the letter into the chat so people can look at it, and you should be able to. It should be open for anybody to open and comment on, and
yes.
And I'll send it along to the board office as well.
Okay, yeah. If you want to CC me, I had that on my agenda today, but it's been a busy day at work. Thank you, everyone. You're on mute, Ms. Tice.
Here, and we appreciate the work that you do. Keep in mind that the landlords need to be a part of the legislative process as well, because if the landlord goes away, believe me, and there's a mortgage or taxes due, the building will not be cared for, so everybody would lose. So we want to look at both sides of this problem, because
I will just say that we at the Housing Committee are proud to have landlords as well as tenants.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, thank you. Okay, we're going to move along to the Environment, Sanitation, and Transportation Committee report.
Good evening, everyone. Robert Witherwax, the chair of the Environment, Sanitation, Transportation Committee. Ms. Irsa Weatherspoon, co-chair. We did not have a February meeting, so nothing to report. We will be having a March meeting. It will be on the 23rd of March, the 4th Tuesday, as always. And our topic, well, one of our topics will be the Department of Transportation will be coming back to talk about this upcoming season of open streets. So we will circulate a more refined agenda as we get closer to the date, but please look forward to seeing everyone in attendance.
Thank you, Mr. Witherwax. It will be very, very interesting, because I understand the new proposal for open streets will make it a permanent program. Am I correct?
Why should I steal the thunder of my committee meeting? Show up on the 23rd and find out.
Okay, you're selling tickets, right? Okay. Next up is Education and Youth Committee, please.
Okay. Our committee, Kim Watson will be giving the report. She's here.
I can give the report. The youth, this is Marva Brown Henry. The Youth and Education Committee has actually been doing working group meetings on a weekly basis. We're planning an educational series for
young people, both in the middle school and high school age range. And our first event will be a music industry event. We're looking to expose young people to careers in different areas and just let them know all of the options that they have available. So the first event is music industry, and it will be held on April 29th at 4 to 6 p.m. Via Zoom. This is going to be a virtual series. And so we're going to have panelists come in virtually to speak to the young people about their careers. We're going to have performance artists, production people, composers, and other executives. We're looking to have 4 to 6 people. I think we have about 3 or 4 confirmed already. And this will be the first in the series. So we wanted to do something more exciting and interesting for the young people, starting with music, but we'll also be doing film and television. We'll be doing the financial industry, real estate, legal, as well as other life skills that they may encounter or that they will hopefully encounter in terms of, college preparedness, being financially savvy, and knowing about loans, and being smart with the loans and scholarships when they're enrolled in college and things like that. So we haven't been meeting monthly, we've been meeting weekly as a working group. And so our first event is coming up next month. So we're planning hard for that. And our next planning meeting is next Wednesday, March 17th at 7:30 p.m.
Do you have an announcement flyer you want to post on the board website?
Ms. Watson has circulated a flyer to our committee, and we're still making suggestions and edits. But as soon as it's done, we will send it out to the whole community board.
This will be coordinated through the board office so that we have a record for our files.
Yes.
Okay.
And you will be using our resources within the schools and the district, District 17, District 16, District 13 to advertise to the students as well.
Excellent, excellent. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next up, we have the Economic Development Committee. I believe that chair may not be with us this evening. I'm not sure. Mr. Saunders is not with us.
No, he's not.
Ms. George, do we have any old business to cover?
I think you skipped the seniors committee. They were first on the committee list.
What committee? I'm sorry.
Seniors go, or did I miss seniors?
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I'm missing them on the list. Ms. Muhammad, please forgive me. Please give your report.
All right, good evening. The senior committee, the March meeting, we covered Women's History Month. As many of you know, many of the seniors do not have computers or access to social media. So everything that we do by phone. I'd like to thank Adam Sachs and the Heights and Hills because they did a presentation on services and resources for caretakers. And it was very much appreciated. A lot of information was shared. So I'd like to thank you, Adam, for taking the time out to present to the seniors. Most of our seniors on our senior committee that wanted to be vaccinated have received either Pfizer or Moderna. We work with seniors at 230 Kingston Avenue, as well as 77 New York Avenue and 755 St. John's Place. Most of them have received their vaccinations. They were informed that Johnson & Johnson came to Interfaith today and tomorrow. And for those that wanted to get their vaccinations, they're free to, their names were submitted to Interfaith Hospital, and they will be getting their vaccinations either Thursday and Friday. Today, I'd like to thank Marvin Henry, who came out. We had a food distribution for the seniors from 1055 and 2:30, we provided food to, and that was through Diana Richardson's office, and we provided food to approximately 100 seniors today. And again, I'd like to thank Martha for coming out and helping and bringing her children to help with that effort. Our next meeting is scheduled for April 7th. We're going to do explain the importance of ranked choice voting to our seniors. And again, it's going to be a very elementary lesson because it's a little difficult for them to understand about ranked choice voting. So we're going to try to break it down and make it as easy as possible for them to understand. Again, the next meeting will be held on April 7th, and we do that through phone. And all board members, there are other board members that have attended, and we'd like to thank you for participating also.
Thank you, Ms. Mohammed. Are there any questions on that? I'm sorry. Who's?
Yes, for questions?
Oh, I have one other thing. There is a community refrigerator also on Bergen and Nostrand. There are many, and thank you, Marva, sent that over to me so that we know that there are about 7, I think, in Brooklyn. The closest one that I'm aware of is on Bergen and New York, 1144 Bergen Street. We took food from today that was given out today, and we put in the community refrigerator that's located on Bergen and New York Avenue.
Bergen and New York Avenue, you can bring food and leave food, and people can pick up food and also bring food and leave food. Thank you, Ms. Mohammed.
And Ms. Mohammed cleaned out the refrigerator so that it would be clean for the people who are receiving food out of it. So thanks to Ms. Mohammed for cleaning it out. Yeah.
This is really great teamwork. Thank you all. Crown Heights Mutual Aid, Sarah Lazur is putting in the chat, which is wonderful as well. Okay, we're drawing towards the end of our meeting.
Sarah's question, Ms. Taya, Sarah's question is the fridge through Crown Heights Mutual Aid?
Oh,
okay. I can answer that. I believe that the fridge is actually through the owner of the Bergen that's on Bergen Street. I think he's behind the actual fridge, and I think he's introducing another one in the neighborhood too.
Yes, it's been a long, tough year. It's been a year with this business being shut down, so people are struggling. And
right, and then again, we had someone from CORE. There's a men's shelter on Bergen in New York, and the men's shelter, they had someone come out, and we're going to have them clean it out at least once a month so that people will feel comfortable with going in and taking out food. And again, that's a partnership with CORE Men's Services.
That is wonderful. That is great, great work.
A community fridge is at 1143 Bergen Street, as Fiora has indicated.
44,
I'm sorry. 1144 Bergen Street.
Ms. George, can we post this news on the website?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you.
Public safety's next.
Okay. My printer is not working. I'm missing half of this
Hey,
stuff.
good day. Mark Thurton from Public Safety, Chairperson. We met on February the 22nd. We just had a general meeting. We didn't have any presenters during the meeting, but we went over all the issues that we had in the community. We went through also our NCO sector meetings, and they started back up, and it's being done by way of Facebook. So that's a new concept that we're trying to get used to. I think the police officers and the community is trying to get used to that. I think I sent out the listing of the dates for the first quarter. They're going to be sending set up the dates for the second quarter. Once we receive that, we'll be sending it out. Our next meeting will be on Monday, March the 22nd. We're going to be focusing on the women's for the Women's Month. We just have to verify the subject matter, specific subject matter for that. And once we get that information, we'll send it out. And also, we have, I just received news within an hour ago. I got a call that our Deputy Inspector Buttercavoli has got a promotion. He's going to be moving up to the inspector level. Due to the fact that he's moving up to inspector, that means also he'll be leaving the 77th precinct. They don't have a specific date when he'll be leaving. So he'll be leaving
Really?
sometime this month. So that means now, you know, he was with us for a while. He did his 3 years. So now we have to look for a new 77th commanding officer. And there's a new process that's out where the police council is able to put their input in. So I guess this will be a test for that. And we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure if the community board or the public safety will participate on that, but we'll see how it goes. And this will be a test. And as I mentioned, our next meeting will be on Monday, March the 22nd at 6 p.m. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
When will we stop being a training ground and be able to keep the people that come here and get experience before they move them out to another precinct? This is becoming repetitive now.
I feel the same way, Ms. Tyus.
That's a question that we've asked for the last 4 commanding officers. So hopefully with our new police force, they may extend it. You know, as long as we get someone that's good and beneficial for the community, hopefully we'll get that person for a longer period than the 3 years, but we'll see how it goes.
Also, from Mark, I'd like to thank Mark. Mark has put together a group, talk about public safety. He's put together a group of at least 10 block associations and tenant associations. And we met this week and it was an excellent meeting. And we plan on doing some joint ventures with block associations in Northern Crown Heights. So thank you, Mark.
You're very welcome, Gail.
That's going to make the neighborhood a lot safer when we have many more eyes on what's going on out there. And
Yes.
I thank you as well, Mr. Thurton.
You're welcome. Yes, for us, working together is extremely important.
Absolutely. So, are there any other announcements that need to be made?
Yes, Ms. Tyus, you have an announcement.
I'm sorry?
Ms. Tyus, you have an announcement.
I have an announcement?
Nominating committee?
The nominating committee. Thank you. Okay, elections are here, folks. It's time for changing of the guard, and we're planning that for the elections will be held in May, I believe, and we have a nominating committee consisting of Mr. Sachs as chair, Ms. Gibbs, Ms. Henry, Ms. Mahoney, and Mr. Thurton to suss out who should be the next set of officers for this community board. And they'll set to work over the next month and come back at our next meeting with a slate, correct? No.
So at the next meeting, we'll take nominations from the floor, and then in May, we'll present the slate.
Okay, that's the way that's going to happen.
According to the bylaws, yes.
According to the bylaws, okay, which changes regularly. Thank you very much. And I thank the nominating committee for going over who we have with us and who should be up on the slate, and questioning and contacting folks to see if they're willing to serve, because as I'm seeing, a lot of people think that this is easy to do. If you're working and you're coming to doing this work evenings and whatnot, just plan for that time. And I hope that people will recognize and be ready to do what it takes to have an active community board that safeguards the safety and health of its residents and its businesses. So we look forward to that. We'll see what comes out of this process and go forward. Thank you, committee members, for volunteering to serve. Anything else, Ms. George?
Any other public comments or announcements? We'll take them from the floor.
Yes. Any announcements?
Yes, I'd like to make an announcement. This is Sharon Wedderburn.
Okay, Ms. Wedderburn, I'm sure you'll keep it very brief as we've discussed.
As
Thank you.
always, and concise. So good evening, everyone. I wanted to take this opportunity to tell my colleagues on the community board that I am yet another person from Community Board 8 who has thrown their hat in the ring for the purposes of running for the 35th Councilmanic District. I look forward to being in contact with all of you. My website will be up shortly. In the interim, if you would like—
I'm sorry, Ms. Wedderburn, we're just going to announce that you are a candidate.
That's what I said.
Okay.
That's exactly what I said.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
What seat is this? I missed it. I'm sorry.
The 35th Councilmanic District, that's the seat that Lori Cumbo presently holds.
Okay, okay.
Thank you very much. Any other announcements?
I just wanted to let you know that I did put some posts for SBA loans for information. If there's any small businesses on the line, there are resources, free resources that you can take advantage of from SBA. I'll put it in the link. If you have any other questions, feel free to contact me.
Are these the forgivable loans that were advertised on some level?
Yes, the PPP loans are forgivable. The EDIL are not, supposedly. But there's a new, as you know, that President Biden just passed a new CARES Act, $1.9 trillion CARES support. That also might be changing. We're reviewing all the information right now. But if people need help with PPP loans right now, they can click on that link. It will give them even places where they can go for hands-on help for filling out the form.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. The more information we give out to our local businesses, the more vibrant our commercial strips will continue to be. Okay, so I don't think that we need to share amongst the chat who we are voting for. I really feel that that is unnecessary, and I would not recommend that continue. So going forward, Ms. George, have we wrapped up our business for the evening?
Yes, we have.
Well, then I ask for a motion to close the meeting.
Oh, there's someone in the chat, Justin Turner, Senator Marie's office. He just sent something to me in the chat.
Okay.
I don't know where he's at.
Okay, I'm not seeing it because he sent it to you individually.
Justin Turner.
Let's see if I can
Okay,
get
I'm
it.
gonna make him a panelist really quickly, Justin. Really quickly. Are you on, Justin Turner? Justin?
Oh, tell her.
Turner? Justin Turner? Okay, I unmuted, he muted himself. We can wrap it up.
Thank you. I just want to mention that there will be an executive committee meeting towards the end of the month. And in that, we're going to cover Friends of CBA and make sure that we keep that vehicle alive in case there's money that we can tap into to help us solve the problems that we're facing due to these exigencies with COVID, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll look forward to a notice from DM George on that meeting date, and I'd look for agenda items that we need to cover as an executive committee, because we did move that committee meeting to quarterly. So this would be the quarterly meeting end of March. Thank you all for coming. Again, I ask for a motion to close the meeting.
I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
I second it.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks
Good
for
night,
coming,
week,
everyone.
month,
Good
year.
night.
Good night, everyone. Take care.
Good night. Take care.
Night.
Take
Right.
care, stay safe, wear your masks, wash your hands.
Miss Lazar, answer my question. in
I'm
the
sorry?
chat.
What?
I'm telling